Okay, welcome everyone. My name is Bridget Thangachan, and I am currently serving as the Executive Director of EdTech Society. So today, in the Masterclass number 14, we are going to learn about game-based learning and gamification. So we have a an expert this field. So Dr. Shamila Janakiraman is an assistant professor in learning and design technology at University of Hawaii. Okay, she teaches graduate level courses in LTEC and her research interest in emerging technologies. And she has many other, augmented reality, different topics. She's an expert. And also she's the current president-elect of ACT International Division. So I'm very happy and very glad that she accepted our invitation and sharing expertise with us, with the EdTech Society community today. So before I hand over the stage to Dr. Shamila Janakiraman, so I just want to talk a little bit about the EdTech Society. So EdTech Society is a non-profit organization, and also we have different upcoming events are coming, especially this month. Technology for Education Conference is happening at IIT Bombay on this end of this month. So please do visit the etsociety.org website. And so you will learn more about the EdTech Society and different programs that we offer throughout the year, especially every month. We do offer the master classes, and we do offer, panel sessions on different emerging topics, and seminars, and different programs are, scheduled for the upcoming year. So thank you once again for joining this masterclass. We are so glad. So this event, the live YouTube link is open to anyone. But if you would like to get a certificate, you need to register and complete a quiz on. So then only you will earn a certificate on this topic. So next time onwards, so please make sure you register and complete the quiz. Then you can earn a certificate if you are interested. Otherwise, this YouTube link is open to anyone to watch live on YouTube. Thank you again, and thank you, Dr. Shamila, for joining today to share your expertise with us. Please take the stage now.
Thank you, Dr. Briju. Thank you very much for this opportunity and for this great introduction. But before I start, I would like to say, Dr. Briju mentioned that I'm an expert on these fields like game-based learning, augmented reality and all. I won't say I'm an expert as yet, but I've been experimenting with these things in my classrooms, and I've conducted several studies on game-based learning and gamification. So I think I'll have something new to share today. So as he said, I'm an assistant professor in learning design and technology in the University of Hawaii. So today I'm going to talk to you about game-based learning and gamification. So why I included both of them today is many people use these two terms interchangeably, but they are not the same. They are very, very different from each other. That is what we are going to be seeing today in detail. Today's agenda, first we'll talk about game-based learning and gamification, then look at the differences between the two, and we look at how the game mechanics in games can be used as teaching tactics, or we can say instructional strategies in the classroom. And then how to implement game-based learning in any course, right? And then we have an activity at the end. If time permits, we will do it. And I'll also be sharing a handout in the last slide. And maybe Dr. Briju can make the link. It's a Google Doc link. So maybe he can make it available to all the attendees later, right? So we always say that everyone loves to play digital games, right? And digital games are of different types, classroom games and digital games. And classroom games are those which are played in the classroom itself. And digital games are played on the laptop or computer. So here you can see pictures of both of them. Yes. And now here you'll see pictures of students, not little children, but youth playing games. And everybody believes that everyone loves to play digital games, but that may not be, 100% true. So let's see among the audience how it is. So the statement is everyone loves to play games, and I would like to know whether that is true. So I request all of you to go to menti.com on your mobile phone or on your laptops. So just type in menti.com and enter this code number 112194 and 20. So there will be a question there and you have to answer that question. So I'm going to keep this live for some time before I go to menti.com's website. So go to menti.com and enter this number. I'll give a few seconds. So now I'm sharing the menti.com website. Okay, I have an answer already. So the code is still here, 11219420. So you'll find a question. Did you enjoy playing digital games as a child? There are two answers. Let's give it a minute so all of you get a chance to answer this. Again, go to menti.com and use the code. Yeah, I can see more answers. Eight answers so far. I'm just going to give a few more seconds. All right, so 1 minute up. So from this, we see that the maximum is yes, but still there are people who have not enjoyed playing digital games and who are not sure whether they enjoyed playing digital games, right? So this is what I wanted to understand from our audience today. Let me go back to the presentation slides. Yeah. So that's the response that I got from the audience. Most of them enjoyed playing games as a child, digital games as a child, and some of them did not, and some of them were not sure about it, right? So let's proceed with game-based learning and gamification and their differences, right? So first of all, let's see the differences between game-based learning and gamification. First let me define what they are, and then we'll go to the differences actually. So first, let me describe what is gamification. So gamification is the use of video game elements in non-game situations. Right? This is a definition given by Deterding and is used by everybody in this field. And he says gamification is the use of video game elements such as earning rewards to help improve user experience and user engagement in a non-game situation. So one good example I can give of gamification outside of education is the hotel royalty points and airlines miles. I'm sure most of you are collecting airlines miles and you use it to get a free ticket or a discount in a ticket for a future travel, right? And similarly, you'll be collecting royalty points for hotels, and then you'll be getting a room stay for a future stay in a hotel. So what is happening there? Those companies, the airlines companies, the hotels are gamifying the process. That is, they are keeping you as a customer always with them, right? They're encouraging the behavior. So you go on booking with the same airlines, with the same hotel, so you get those discounts in a later stage. So that is a gamified experience. So similarly, what we are trying to do in education is gamifying the learning experience. So there are several digital tools that are available to gamify learning. One is Kahoot, that is one of my favorites. So Kahoot can be used to quiz your learners. So that after you teach, instead of giving them a paper and pencil quiz, or instead of giving them a digital quiz using Google Forms or SurveyMonkey or something, you ask them questions on Kahoot. So Kahoot is designed like a game. There is a background music, and there is a leaderboard. As students answer those questions in Kahoot, the leaderboard changes and it shows who's leading and who's not. And it also gives the facility for students to choose anonymous, some fake names. so that they can stay anonymous. They don't have to show who they are. And it gives them points, not only based on the correct answers, but also gives them points the speed with which they answer. So it gamifies the entire quiz process. So for me personally, I use Kahoot a lot in my courses, both my PhD classes and my master's classes and my undergraduate classes. So what I use Kahoot for is every in the beginning of the course, I use it to test their prior knowledge. So I want to see whether they're ready for this particular course. So I have questions in them that test them on concepts that they should have learned before in a previous course or in a prerequisite course, just to make sure that they know those basic concepts before they move into my course. Okay, that is one purpose. Next, I use it almost every week to test whether they remember what was taught in the previous class. Because usually we have classes only once a week. So I would like my students to remember what they learned in the previous week class when they come to the next week's class. So that is one purpose. And sometimes I use it during the course to make sure that they were paying attention to me. So I don't want them to sleep off, right? So I just want to, they know that I'm going to have a Kahoot. So that actually encourages them to listen to what I'm saying in the class so that they can answer well in the Kahoot. And sometimes the end of the course and in the end of the class, just to make sure that they've understood the concepts well. So Kahoot can be used for those purposes. Same way, Quizlet and quizzes, they serve the same purpose. They help make flashcards also. And all these three, Kahoot, Quizlet, and quizzes, you can set the quizzes in such a way that students can go back to it anytime and they can practice. So it gives them drill and practice to learn those new definitions or those new names like parts of the body of a honeybee and so on. So by drill and practice, they can start remembering those things. And using Quizlet, they can create flashcards to learn so many other concepts as well. And Mentimeter is another tool that I use often. Just now, before this, I use Mentimeter to poll you. So very easily, I could have just asked a question or do you play games and think whether you enjoy playing games. But to add something to keep my audience engaged, I use menti.com here and set this poll. And then you answer yes, no, maybe, and so on, right? So that could be done for any kind of question. Doesn't have to be a poll question. It could be even a question, what is gamification also? And that's another tool that I use. And Classcraft is a big gamification tool where your entire course can be gamified. So if it is a 16 weeks course or 8 weeks course or a whole for a semester, how many weeks that is. So Classcraft lets you gamify the entire course where all the modules in your course will be a part of a game. So students will go from one module to the other or one chapter to the other, and they'll be actually playing a game in the process. There will be some rewards and they will progress through the game and they will gain those rewards, and that keeps them engaged with the course. So personally, I have not used Classcraft before, but I've seen professors who have used Classcraft and who have even gamified their courses on learning management systems like Blackboard, Brightspace, and Canvas, and so on. So that's very, very interesting and it's very, very enjoyable for the students. So this is how gamification is implemented in a classroom to make the learning process fun. Okay, so that is what gamification is about. And then we'll move on to game-based learning or GBL. So game-based learning is different from gamification. That's what I told you in the first beginning, right? They both cannot be used interchangeably because they're very, very different. In game-based learning, during playing the game, learners are going to learn new concepts, right? You're not just quizzing them or you're not just trying to keep them engaged, but you're going to teach them something through the game itself. So I usually use as example, game-based learning is like reading a book. So as you turn the chapter pages in a book, where you will be going from chapter to chapter, reading the book, and then looking at so many activities and the assessment questions at the end of the chapter. Same way, educational games are designed. And what happens in game-based learning is the students will be playing the game and they'll be moving from level to level. And to move from one level to the other, they have to meet the challenges in each level and they have to win. Okay, they have to cross them, they have to achieve them, only then they can move on to the next level. So that is what we do in our traditional classrooms, right? So we teach one chapter, then we give some activities and homework and classwork for the students, and then we have some question answers that they answer at the end of the lesson. And once that is done, we might have a test or we might move to the next chapter. So games are designed in the same way, where students will be playing the game and learning in the process. And in each level of the game, there will be so many challenges. And once they play and accomplish the challenge, they will be seeing the consequences. Let's not say accomplish. When they take a particular action, they will see the consequences. If the consequences were positive, then they know what they did was correct, and they will repeat the same action in the next level, or maybe in the same level as well. But if they found that the consequences were not good, or they lost points, or they were going back, then they know that what they did was wrong, and next time they will not repeat the same. Okay, so here also you are encouraging a particular behavior, and learners are able to see the consequences immediately when they are playing. And when they are playing, based upon the results, they are going to repeat a particular behavior or not repeat a particular behavior. Okay, so that gives them a chance to learn new things, think critically and creatively, and take certain actions. Okay, so that is our goal. And yeah, and especially now, our young learners are called digital natives. That is, they're almost like born with a tablet or a mobile phone in their hands. So they learn very fast. And compared to me, my children learn very fast whenever a new device or new technology is launched. So it's very easy for them to learn these game rules and progress in the game. So it is good for us, instructors or educators, to use that. Okay, let's leverage that advantage we have. And they are already playing entertainment games. So now we are trying to make them play educational games, or we can convert entertainment games into educational games. That is also possible. I'll share some examples later. And technology is more readily available now, and almost everybody, has a mobile phone or a tablet or a laptop, and so they can play those games and learn in the process, right? So that is my argument for supporting game-based learning. We are meeting the learners where they are, right? And now let's see the differences between game-based learning and gamification. So gamification is applying game mechanics in non-game environments to encourage behavior. As I told before, you are keeping your learners engaged by making them answer a quiz in the form of a game, right? And so they're looking forward to it actually. So I've heard my PhD students actually tell me that they really enjoy playing the Kahoot game. It's not only for school children, it's also for PhD students. It really works. Game-based learning, learning comes from playing the game. So in gamification, you're testing or giving them drill and practice, but in game-based learning, they are actually learning while playing the game, just like reading a book or listening to your lecture. In gamification, there's something called digital badges or awards or other kinds of motivations, which we are giving our learners as they learn. So they're getting some points, and that motivates them to earn more and learn more. In game-based learning, learning in a fun way itself serves as a motivation. So the game environment is keeping them engaged and motivated. In gamification, games are added as learning activities to enhance their learning or to support their learning. In game-based learning, we have specific objectives, like any traditional lecture or class activity, where the course has particular objectives, and through the class lecture or activities, you are trying to accomplish those objectives. So in game-based learning, the game is designed based on objectives, and while playing the game, students are going to accomplish them, right? Gamification is mainly to engage learners. In game-based learning, it encourages problem-solving, critical thinking. And as I said, there are going to be so many challenges in the game. And by attempting those challenges and seeing the consequences of their actions, learners are going to be learning something, and they're going to make decisions. And while making decisions, they are thinking critically and creatively and solving problems. So that is very, very important for us to understand about game-based learning. And gamification, you can use it to quiz or to survey, like now what I did using menti.com, I surveyed all of you. So that is the purpose of gamification. Game-based learning, you are teaching them something new. They are gaining new knowledge. And the purpose of any traditional classroom or a book is that learners are going to learn something new so that they can do something in the real world, right? Otherwise, why should they be learning anything? So what they learn, they apply in the real world. So game-based learning is the same as that. They'll be learning something from the game, and they will be applying it in the real world, right? So these are the differences between game-based learning and gamification. Hopefully, this helps you differentiate between these two. And game-based learning, I'm going to go deeper into game-based learning for now. I've done several studies on game-based learning and literature reviews. And from the literature search, this is what I found, some main points that I found. Based on the biological basis of learning and memory formation, for humans, optimal learning occurs when planned repetition, multiple modalities, rewards, active engagement, and visualizations are there. And all these things are present in the game-based learning environment. So, as I said, there are so many levels, and players are going to be tackling challenges and seeing the consequences and repeating their action or not repeating the same action. So there is a planned repetition there. So they're going to be repeating the same things again and again, and because of that, they learn better, right? And once they know what they did was wrong, they're going to change their behavior. So that helps them learn. And multiple modalities. Some games are designed in such a way that the levels move from simple tasks to complex tasks, and moving from one end to the other also helps the players learn better. And games also have rewards, and you might have seen points in certain games. So earning those points becomes a motivation for the player, and sometimes rewards are given in the form of digital things. So players collect those digital artifacts, and they use it to solve problems in the next level. So they know what kind of rewards they want in this stage to solve a problem in the next stage, and that actually helps them learn better, and because they are thinking creatively and critically. And while playing the game, they are totally engaged. I won't say that a lecture or a book cannot keep learners engaged, but games seem to bring a greater sense of flow. So flow is a situation where learners are totally engrossed in what they are doing, right? So games seem to be very, very successful in bringing players into flow, and that can be used for them to learn better. And visualizations, I'm not saying in lectures and books we cannot show visualizations, but in games they are more dynamic. And when the players are playing, they can see several things happening in the game. There's so many things changing in the game. So when they take a particular action, so many other things, reactions will happen in different parts of the game. So that actually helps them think in a systems thinking approach. So they know that when they do they take one action, different kinds of reactions that can happen in the environment in different places. So that actually teaches them to be more responsible and take the systems thinking approach to whatever they do, and that gets transferred into real life as well. And the bigger advantage of game is that they can see the results in real time. So whatever they do, they see the consequence within a few minutes in the game, and that tells them what they did was right or wrong, and that helps them learn better. So that's a big advantage of games where they see the consequences in real time. Because in the real world, when you do something, the results of that action comes to you, or you can see it after a long time, and by that time you are totally disconnected with what you did. And even when we give feedback to our learners, if you give feedback, say after a month or after 10 days or something, by that time your learner would have forgotten why they wrote something like that in the exam, right? But in the game, they get the feedback immediately. So that tells them what they did was correct or wrong, and that actually improves their learning. And that is about the importance of visualizations. And while students are playing the game, the instructor or teacher does not have to be present. They can play the game by themselves. And while doing that, they are engrossed in a discovery learning environment where they are learning as they navigate through the game. And because they are learning by themselves, they take ownership for their learning. And that studies have shown increases the recall and retention of learning. That means they remember what they learned for a long time, not just up to the time of the exam and they pass or whatever happens, but they can remember those things even after they finish their exams and move on to a next course or a next class. So this game environment improves recall and retention and remembering of learning. So now I've been talking so much. So how did I come to all these sets of conclusions? That's because of my experience with game-based learning. I've used game-based learning in my classes and I've done some research studies. So now I'm going to show a game called Inner Cities that I used in my PhD dissertation. I did 3 studies for this purpose, and in one I use the same game. And in my one study, I use this game for education technology undergraduate students at Purdue University in the US. So to see whether this game was able to change their attitudes and behaviors regarding environmental sustainability. So I chose attitude change game. Games can be of different types, right? So they could be for teaching language, or it could be for teaching mathematics or physics or chemistry and so on. And there are a special group of games called attitude change games, where we are using games to change attitudes and behaviors of learners based on some critical topics like environmental sustainability, economic sustainability, social sustainability, or to improve their awareness regarding human trafficking, drug abuse, healthy eating, and so on. There's so many attitude change topics. So I chose environmental sustainability because I'm very passionate about that. And this game, Inner Cities, was used in the 3 studies, as I said. In my second study, I did that in India, in a high school in the state of Kerala. The city was Kozhikode. So I did 2 studies among grade 10 and 11 students, sorry, grade 11 and grade 12 students, so where they played the game, and I administered surveys at the end of the game, after 1 week and after 5 weeks, to see whether their attitudes and behaviors changed. So let me play the game a little bit so that you understand what this game Inner Cities is about. I hope this video plays well for you. You can see some instructions, and then the players start the game. And in this game, players have to construct a city. While constructing a city, they have to increase the population. If they increase the population, their points increase. But when they increase the population, they have to construct more houses, schools, malls, stadiums, and so on. And more buildings they construct, they require more energy. So they have to supply energy. And if they go on building the cheaper coal plants, then the pollution increases. And also, when they are building new buildings, they are destroying the green cover in their city, right? Then their points will go down. So then there is this virtual agent in the game called Alex, who's on the left-hand side bottom corner. So Alex will give them suggestions on what they could do to improve their scores. So Alex will tell them, instead of coal power plant, why don't you construct a windmill farm, or a solar farm, or a hydroelectric power plant? So when they do the actions like constructing renewable sources of energy, power plants, their points will increase. So this goes on as they play the game, and they have to balance so many things. So they have to see the amount of power they have, the amount of energy that is available, the amount of money they have. They have to spend like they should not spend all of the money all at the one project. And then they have to look at the green cover, whether the green cover is there, or is it becoming lesser and lesser and becoming more orange. That will show them that what they're doing is wrong. And the smiley face on this game shows the happiness levels of the people. So are people happy with what you're doing or not happy with what you're doing? So to make them more happy, you'll have to do certain things. At the same time, you have to balance the energy, the green cover, and all those things, right? So this is a very complex environment, and any action they take in one part of the game will show multiple changes in the various parts of the game. So that is why I was telling you that games can teach about systems thinking. So let me pause this game here. This recording is quite long. And so this is one example of an attitude change game, where while playing the game, students are learning so many new concepts. So they'll be thinking creatively on how to make energy efficient buildings, and thinking critically to where to put the power plant, not near where people are living, right? Then it's going to be harmful for their health. So they will put it in a different place. So my study really showed that this game helped them think about what should be done and what should not be done, right? So in short, what I would like to say is game-based learning is highly responsive and demanding. So when students are playing the game, they have to take action, sometimes very fast, or sometimes they can think and take action. So either way, they will be thinking and they will be taking action, right? So that helps them learn better. And it also produces situated understanding. Now, in the game example that I showed you, it showed real city building. It may not be exact simulation of a real city and real constructions and so on, but it helps the player understand what is happening, right? When he's building a school, how much is spent, and how much of pollution occurs. So all those things are shown. So they are getting situated understanding, and they are thinking deeply to do certain things and not do certain things, because they are seeing the consequences. They're seeing their points go down, their money going down, the power going down, and so on. So they are actually looking at all those monitors, getting help from Alex, the virtual agent, and thinking by themselves and doing so many things, right? So they're actually exploring within the game, experimenting with their actions to see whether it is correct or not, and they're also competing. So if you administer this game to all your students in the classroom, all of them want to gain more points, right? So you are creating competitive environment. I know many of us will not agree that it's not good to have competition, but we are doing that in a traditional classroom. We are having ranks, we are having points for our quizzes and exams. So anyway, they are saying, okay, I got 80%, how many points did you get, and so on. So that sense of competition is always there in any kind of learning environment in a school or college. So that's the same thing happening in a game. And if you give the game in a cooperative or a collaborative environment where you allow students to play, two or more students to play the same game at the same time together, and then it helps them learn to share the device, and collaborate and take decisions. So that is also an important learning that is required, learning to communicate and collaborate better. So you're actually hitting on all the 21st century skills of communication, collaboration, creativity, and critical thinking, all the 4 C's of the 21st century skills. And when they are playing alone by themselves, you're personalizing the learning environment, because the path taken by one person in the game is not going to be the same as another person. So they are in their own learning environment and doing their own things and learning by themselves, right? And they are learning new knowledge, there's cognitive learning, and they're motivated to play and learn, and they are emotionally involved. So they are in a state of engagement. And if it is an attitude change topic like environmental sustainability, they are getting emotionally involved with the topic, and that actually translates to their real life, and they understand the social impact that they are causing. So that is very, very important, and that is what I found in my research. I found that playing the game improved their cognitive learning, that is gaining new knowledge, affective learning, that is being emotionally attached to the environment, and they started thinking about real people in the real world where they are impacted by coal power plants situated near their neighborhood. So that is actually teaching them about environmental justice. So poor people are usually placed in such environments, and these students in my study started thinking about them. So that is very, very important for us to help our learners learn. And they were also improving upon social learning. That is, they started sharing their score with others and their winning strategies, and then they started discussing like, okay, well, what did you do to get so many points, and what is the mistake I made, and why did I lose points? So that kind of discussion also helped them learn. And what they learned in the game, they went home and shared with the people at home, and it also changed their behaviors in the real life. They started recycling more, saving water, and then switching off the lights and fans when they leave their classroom or room in their house. So those kind of behaviors are also seen in my study, and they were sharing that with other people. So that actually improved their social learning as well. So that is what I was looking for in the game, and I found the positive results. All right. Okay. So why are these games helping them learn better? It's because of what is called game mechanics. And game mechanics are anything that a person can do in a game. Those are they can be called as functions or features as well. And those functions or features of the game can be converted into instructional strategies or teaching tactics in the classroom, right? And games are usually have a set format. They are, or you can say, standard conventions of game mechanics. And people who have been playing games for some time will be able to start playing any game given to them, and they usually know where to find the rewards, and where to find the resources, where to find the game map, and so on. And they know what is the best actions to take most of the time. Okay, so those are standard conventions. And in the beginning of the game, you will see an instruction page usually. And when we are using games in education, we have to actually ask our learners to read those instructions so that they orient themselves in the game. They know what they should do, what they cannot do, and what will give them points, what will give them less points. So understanding those game mechanics is very important when they start playing the game. And they also have, the game mechanics also show them how to accomplish the goals. And we can use those game mechanics as instructional strategies in the classroom. So I'm going to give you some examples of how game mechanics can be used with some examples. So here are different kinds of games: strategy and simulation games and role play adventure games. So one example of a strategy simulation game is Zoo Tycoon. So in this particular game, the players have to construct a zoo. So while constructing a zoo, they have to put animals in them, put them in safe places, and place different animals in different positions, and not place two, maybe some kinds of animals together, close together, and they have to put further apart in the zoo. And also, when they are doing that, they also have to take into consideration water for the animals. How will food be given to them? How can their enclosures be cleaned by people? All those things they have to design. And not only for the animals, they have to also look at the needs of the visitors to the zoo. So they need restrooms, they need food, they need place to sit and rest if they are tired. So all those things are done in the game. And while doing this, players will have to spend some money, and they have only so much space. So while doing that, they are not only learning about the biology related things about the animals, they're also learning about economics. So how to spend the money in an ideal way so that they can do what they want to do in the zoo. And they're also learning project management because they're constructing so many things, and they have to do it within a time period. And so how can they plan things so that it gets finished within the time period? So they're doing all those things in that Zoo Tycoon game. Similarly, in a tennis game, they can actually move their hands, and they'll be actually, it's like, they are using their tennis rackets. So this is to learn psychomotor skills, and the skills that they gain while playing the game are transferable to the real tennis court. So it has been shown by studies. And in both these games, the game mechanic is giving them practice, repeating the same action again and again, and also experiential learning. So by actually experiencing what they are learning in the game environment, they are learning so many new things which are transferable to the real life, right? So that is about strategy and simulation games. There's another called the role play games or RPG games. So in role play games, the player takes the role of a person or who's the protagonist of the game, and they do certain actions. So whatever is happening in the game is them doing that, and they take that first person perspective. So they are playing the role, and while doing certain things in the game, they learn many things. So one entertainment game called Assassin's Creed has been shown to teach learners so many things, and has been used in undergraduate archaeology courses. So this game is one favorite of my son, and that is when I got really interested in game-based learning. He played this game a lot when he was in high school, and when we happened to visit certain places in Europe, he was able to tell that these things will be here. Oh, there will be a red chandelier inside this building, and on the ceiling of this building you'll find these frescoes. So all these things he knew, and I asked him, did you study all these things in history? Because I did not study. He said, no, I learned them from the Assassin's Creed. I mean, he didn't use the word learned. He said he saw them in the Assassin's Creed game. So that is when I got attracted to game-based learning. And then later, when I started exploring GBL, I found that Assassin's Creed is actually being used in archaeology courses. So an entertainment game has become a course-related game, educational game now. Similarly, in Witcher 3 also, players will set their own goals, and they'll be playing a role, and they will take the first person perspective and do so many things. And in these two games, the game mechanic is discovery, where students move through the game, navigate by themselves. They don't need any guidance from the teacher, and they will be learning by themselves, right? And they're solving a lot of problems. And by solving those problems, they are learning many new things. So the main things we have to look for when we are selecting games for our courses are the storyline and content. Is the storyline suitable for that particular audience, right? You want to make sure about that. And does it have content that is suitable for the audience again? Audience is your learners. So is the storyline and content suitable for them? And is it related to the course? Is it related to what you want to teach? And is there an orientation for them for in the game so that they know about the game mechanics? And does it have maps and levels so that students are challenged appropriately and they can move through the game? And does it give drill and practice so they can move through the levels and they repeat certain actions and they learn better? So we have to make sure about these things. And when you implement a game, you have to be very cognizant of certain things. Game-based learning doesn't happen by you have a game and you go to class and just give it to your students. Come on, here's a link to play the game and go play and learn. It does not happen that way. Then it is not a game-based learning true kind of environment. It is just a game environment then. So if you want your learners to learn from the game, then you have to make sure to choose a game that matches the learning outcomes or the goals of your course and matches the learning objectives that you have written for each of your modules. Then you select the game appropriately, and then you play the game once or twice before, so that you can help them when you're implementing the game. And before you implement the game, you have to have an overview session. It need not be a long lecture. It can be a short lecture telling your students why they are going to play the game, what are they going to learn from the game, and what are the learning objectives they are going to hit when they are learning, when they are playing the game. So that overview is very, very important. Otherwise, students are not going to take you seriously and they're going to just play the game for fun. So we have to make them understand that this game is instead of a lecture or another activity, right? So they are playing this game to learn something new. And after they play the game, we have to have a debrief session. So this is a discussion session. It's very, very important. That is what I found in my studies and I saw in prior studies as well. Debrief session seems to be very important because we have to bring the students together and make them discuss what they learned. And while discussing, they will share their winning strategies and share with other students what they did correctly and when did they realize that they were making mistakes. And you can ask them questions. When you're asking questions, you can actually focus on the game more in the beginning, asking them, okay, what was your winning strategy and what did you do correctly, and so on, and slowly move into the learning topic. So, what did you learn, and what was it wrong that you did, and what was it correct that you did? So that way, they will get a holistic understanding of what they were supposed to be, what they did in the game, and helps them remember things that they saw in the game, right? And this answering questions and allowing them to explore their actions and reactions is very, very important. That will happen during the debrief session. And when you're trying to implement a game, make sure your students have the technology to play the game. If it is a homework, they should have a computer, internet connection, and so on at home. Games can be downloadable format, or they could be an online format. So make sure they are able to access the game. And all the students have to access the game to ensure equity. Otherwise, if only students who have computers and internet at home are playing and others are not, then it is not going to be a good form of implementation. And highlight that whatever they do in one part of the game is going to create so many reactions in other parts of the game, so that your learners understand their interrelationship, so that improves systems thinking. And nowadays a lot of promotion is happening for teaching systems thinking to our learners, so they don't learn in silos, but they learn in a broader way, right? So that is very, very important for us to promote. And there are some drawbacks. I won't say using game-based learning is going to achieve all our learning goals. They might distract from the learning objectives, and learners might get carried away with the gaining points and so on. So it's in the hands of the teacher to keep them focused. That is why the overview session and the debrief session are very, very important when implementing a game. And there are some students who do not like playing games at all. So for them, we should have alternative forms of like lectures or other kinds of hands-on activities, something that they can do to learn the same things, or you can give them readings in form of PDFs or a lesson in a chapter book and so on. And there's this difficulty of finding one game that addresses all the components of the topic you want to teach. It's very difficult to find. So then you will have to make some adjustments there. And making technology available, having enough computers, even in the classroom environment, is sometimes difficult. So we have to make sure all our students get to play. So get them to play in groups of 2 or 3, not more than that, and give them turns so that they get their experience of playing the game. So these are some drawbacks which we have to be aware of. All right. So now I've been talking for so long about game-based learning. I have an activity, and I also have a Kahoot game. So I'm giving you the option of choosing what you want to do. So here I have another a Menti poll. So you can go to this menti.com like you did previously, and enter this number, and there is a question there, and you'll have to answer that question. Based upon the responses, we will either do the activity or we will go and play the Kahoot game. Okay. Okay. So if you go to menti.com and enter this code 11219420, you will see this question. Do you want to play Kahoot game or do an activity? Okay, I got the first answer, 2 responses, and both say Kahoot game. So I'm trying to generate a word cloud. So I'm just showing you an example of what menti.com can do. You can have multiple choice. You can create word clouds. You can have different forms of multiple choice answers. And I know of professors who use menti.com to teach their business and management classes, marketing management actually, to actually teach certain topics. Okay. All the responses show that we have to play the Kahoot game. So that is what we are going to do then. Okay, so we have 7 responses and all of them want the Kahoot game. So let's go to Kahoot. I'm going to share this game. Are you seeing my, hopefully you're seeing my Kahoot screen? Okay, all right. So go to kahoot.it, Kahoot, Kahoot.it. You can join, see that here, join at www.kahoot.it and put this number 5066072. And you can give initials or any kind of fun name if you want to stay anonymous, or you can use your real name also. So once you put that name, it will show it here. Kahoot.it and use this number. Welcome, Yogi. And there's player 1. Let's have at least Shunika. Welcome, Shunika. There are 4 players as of now. 5. Okay. There are 5 players. I think we should go ahead and start. So that I just want to demo Kahoot. That's the intention. So let's start the game. I have very simple questions based on what I was talking today. Are you ready? On your phone, you have to click on the red button or on the blue button. And both are correct answers. So I'm not giving any points for this. Okay, we have all the 5 answers. All of you are ready. Yeah. Yes, because you're ready, you answer, right? What is most important for good instruction? Objections, objectives, objects, observations. So click on that color tile, which is the correct answer on your phone or wherever you're playing from. I got all the 5 answers. That's really fast. Objectives. Yes, objectives are very, very important when we are designing any instruction. Great. What are the 4 C's of the 21st century skills? I mentioned them when I was talking. Here are the combinations. Yeah, now we got all the 5 answers. Yes, it is creativity, critical thinking, collaboration, and communication. That is the yellow tile. Only 2 of you got correct. It's okay. Now you remember. Anything one does in a game is called a game mechanic. Correct? No, or maybe. We talked about game mechanics, right? That can be converted. There are 6 people. Okay. All right. Yes, you are correct. Thank you. So, a game mechanic can be converted into teaching tactics or instructional strategies, right? 5th question, Kahoot is a gamification tool. Great. We got all the 6 answers. Yes, it is. So now you understood what is gamification and game-based learning. Great job. This is a puzzle type of question. You'll have to arrange them in the correct order. What is the best order to implement game-based learning in your course? You have more time for this particular question. So when we are setting the Kahoot, we can change the time. So I've given more time for this. You can move the tiles up and down. It's like a puzzle, jigsaw puzzle. The time is almost up, and I'm waiting for one more answer because I think there are 6 people playing the game. Okay. All right. Yes. First, you start by writing the objectives. Then you give an overview of the game. Then you implement the game, let your students play, and then you give a debrief session. There's only one person who got it correct. No problem. So this is there in the slides, and I'm going to share the slides after the talk through Dr. Briju. So you'll have them. All right. The last question, do you think using education technology will improve your teaching? Any kind of education technology, not only game-based learning or gamification. You could use augmented reality, virtual reality, any kind of technology. Yes, so most of you said yes, and one was not sure. Maybe they know more about it, and one no also. So hopefully, you explore gamification, game-based learning, and other technologies. And for some subjects, it's possible that games might not be available, may not be helpful. So that depends upon the subject that you're teaching as well, right? So there's no correct or wrong answer here. Okay, so this is how Kahoot will end with a leaderboard or a podium. Okay, Yogi, join first is 3. BT is second with so many points. And Shurika is first. Good job, everyone. Thank you so much for playing. Yes, let's go back to our slides. I have to share my screen again. Just please wait for a moment. Share screen. Yes, okay. So we came back to the slide where we stopped at. And let's move on to the next. So here I have given so many resources. And one thing, when you selected the game, that itself was a kind of an affirmation for me. You wanted to play the game and not do the activity. So that is how our learners also feel. they prefer playing games than doing activities, right? And in this slide, I have those resources for you, and I'm going to share these slides as a downloaded PDF through Dr. Briju. So you can click on these links and find the games that you want for your respective subject matter. And there is a handout here. So that gives a theoretical perspective for game-based learning, digital game-based learning. Why is it important and how it can be used and why it can be used and so on. So yeah, that is what is all this is about. So this will be shared with you. The handout will also be available to you. And I don't know whether we have some time for question answers and how I'm going to get those. Yeah, okay. Maybe Dr. Briju can tell me if there are any questions.
Great. There was a comment. I will post that one in the. It was not a question, but there was a comment from Surnika
Yeah.
about
Yes,
the.
yes. Assassin's Creed. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, very correct. This was a big news for us, and we were very very happy to see this news. Although it was sad that something happened to that Notre Dame, but that is I think that is when Assassin's Creed was started becoming very very popular as an educational game, and it was used in those degree courses. Yes. How to use gamification in pre-recorded video courses. Actually, Kahoot has a feature called Kahoot Challenge. So in Kahoot Challenge, it lets you keep the game open for a period of time. So you can keep it open for 1 month or 6 months also. So if your online course is going to be there for 6 months, you can put this game, put it in Kahoot Challenge and set the time period, and you can set the time period for when the game will close. So your learners can asynchronously go and play the game by themselves. So that will give them drill and practice. And same thing can be done using Quizlet and quizzes also. You can set the game and set the time period for when it will be available, and your learners can play. So you can put it in your video or in some flyer. You can put a link, and or if it is in a learning management system, you can put the link. A web link will be given by the game, put it there, and they can click on it and go and play the game. Any other questions? You're welcome.
Okay, so we have maybe 1 more minute. If you have any questions, please post in the chat box so we can show it in the stream. And so while we are waiting for the question, I have a question. And so, is there any way that we can contextualize, the problem? For example, the environmental issue, the sustainability that you were talking about. Let's say in our village, there is a stream, it's very polluted. So how do we bring those things into a game so then they will get a real, is there any resources available
Yeah.
like that?
Yeah. There are actually lots of games, especially for environmental sustainability. I actually wrote a book chapter where I provided several links for games, and you can even simply do a Google search. So if you search for game for river pollution, you'll find a game. Maybe the name of the city or the name of the river in the game will be different. It is just a story. So you can, by doing the overview session and the debrief session, you can connect your learners to the river in their own city. So you let them play the game and do so many things to help them learn not to pollute the river. And then you have this debrief session and then bring them to the real river in their real city. So you can connect it that way. And for so many topics, there are several games available for free. And sometimes you can even write to the game creators and ask them to use the game, and they're very happy to share. So that is how I got the Inner Cities game. It was developed by professors in the University of Twente in Netherlands. So I wrote to them and asked them, can I use your game for these studies? And they sent me a downloadable version of the game on Dropbox. So I've been downloading it and using it so many times. So many games are free, and you can find websites full of games. And I have given so many links for games as well.
Thank you. I think we have another question.
Yeah. Make a prototype of a game before writing a paper on it, or better to use pre-existing games? I think it is better to use a pre-existing game unless you have those programming skills to make your own game. So in the course that I'm teaching now in the University of Hawaii, So my students are creating a prototype using a simple free tool, and then they are going to find some people who can code and create the games. If you have the skill, then you can do it. It also depends upon the budget, the time, and other resources that you have. If you have all those things, maybe a grant or something from the university, you can create a game based on the objectives of the course that you want to teach, and then you can implement it. That will be the best scenario. But sometimes professors do not have the time to do so much. So usually they hunt for games on online and they use it. So that happens most often. But it doesn't mean you cannot do it. You can do it. That will be an ideal situation actually.
Okay, great. It's 11 o'clock. Once again, Dr. Shamila, thank you very much for the time that you spent with us, sharing your knowledge and skill on this game-based learning and gamification. And thank you again, all the participants who joined for this session. So we will be, those who registered, so we'll be giving a quiz. So if you complete those quiz, you will get a certification. And so please tune in and wait for the next masterclass, or we will see you at the Technology for Education conference in IIT Bombay at the end of this month. Once again, thank you all for joining, and Dr. Shamila for joining the session.
Thank you so much. Thank you.